I am happy to report that with episode 16 of Muv Luv Alternative, I have achieved the pinnacle point of my existence watching the show. I'm numb. I'm just numb. The moment that things happen with Sumika, I just was like, there we go. More of it. Don't care anymore. Now, I'm sure the people that have read through the original visual novel, that was probably the hardest part of everything, but I'm numb to it now. Now, granted, she has best waifu plot armor, apparently, so she's gonna live, but still, the moment that thing came down, I'm like, yep, I'm accepting it at this point. I'm no longer in denial of what this series is. That now, granted, at the very end, they've given a way out, and I was a little bit, I don't know, I was a little bit bummed by that, but at the same time, I'm happy at the same time, because that means that we can possibly get back people, but still, it's odd that it never really dawned on me, the idea of the loop, because that's kind of what they opened up with the very first episode of the series, is that technically Shirogane was looping in the other world. So what's to say that he can't loop in this world? And I guess it's been so long since it's happened, it didn't even cross my mind until technically Kozuki was mentioning it. But yes, very, very emotional episode. And again, I do acknowledge the idea that those have read the original source material probably hit harder, but I still got plenty out of this episode, really showing that, yes, like everybody keeps telling me, Sumika, best girl, and the idea that of everybody, she was the one that was fighting the hardest to essentially remember him. Before we get into that, the beginning of the episode, yes, we kind of established, well, at least Kozuki establishes pretty much her idea of what exactly is happening. As Shirogane wakes up, walks past a bunch of maids, which I'm sure people that know the original source materials knows what happened there, but my mind immediately goes to, why is there a bunch of people in his kitchen? This is one of those funny things about going directly into Muv Luv Alternative, and I love it, actually. I actually love that people just laugh at me because I'm going, who the hell are all these people in his kitchen? And everybody's probably going, I know exactly who those characters are. Andrew doesn't know. Shirogane is just walking past a bunch of, I don't know, robot maids, I don't know what they are. But yes, Mitsurugi walks in, they had a planned date, and she arrives there for that, but then she doesn't know why she's there, and then eventually, as she's trying to remember, it seems like her memories are completely fading to the point where she doesn't even know who Shirogane is, and she immediately turns on him. And what Kozuki is apparently explaining, how she somehow comes up with this, that's Kozuki, I guess. Kozuki figures out everything. Oh, well, that's probably because of this, and she lays it completely out. And I don't even know if it's just speculation at this point, but or if she's just the avenue for the writer to tell what's happening right now. Her crazy theories is true or just theories at this point. But yeah, she explains it in the idea that whenever somebody kind of perceives him and starts to kind of connect to what he is as a person, it seems like those memories are being pulled out of this world. So somebody coming in the door isn't necessarily significant, but the moment that you attach the idea of somebody that you know, you start to recall who they are, and those building up of memories influences this almost suction of all this existence and memories out of the world. So the more people think on Shirogane, the more they're going to forget. Which honestly, when we started getting to Sumika, I thought that was going to be a bunch of load of crap, because it seemed like she was the most thinking about him, yet was the most not forgetting. But again, that's technically explained at the end. And I did like the fact that this really does weigh heavily on Shirogane, this idea of, well, okay, then I just need to get away from people. I need to separate myself. That way they won't forget me. But at the same time, he realizes, and I thought at the same time too, is that really better? I can prevent them from forgetting about me, which is going to be really heartbreaking, but at the same time, I'm going to be forgotten because I have to leave them behind. I can't be with them, but being with them makes me no longer with them. Both avenues suck, which to the grand scale of everything is really terrible, because he's pretty much escaped one life, and now he's right back in his old life, but that old life is basically falling apart in front of him, which yes, eventually leads to him running into Sumika. He tries to push her away, but we all knew that was going to happen. And eventually, she pushes him to the point where he finally reveals everything to Sumika. Everything that happened in the other world, the fact that Marimo died there, he came back to this world, he brought the death with him, and she believes every bit of it. And additionally, she hints at something here in the idea that, oh, that makes perfect sense why you're forgetting. But he also reveals the fact that the more he's with people that are still alive, the more they'll forget, which she says something right here, which indicates that, yeah, she's experienced that. But I really love the scene because she's pressing back on him the same mentality that he had. What's the point of it? I will not leave your side. I won't forget you. And my favorite line in the whole thing is, if I leave you, then there's nothing left for me. Leaving you will leave a part of me. Everything I am is based on us. Super cute. Like, it's like a super loyal, super loving line right there. Which again, I perfectly understand is probably so much better for those that read the original source material. Which I think we get pretty much an indication of all those memories as we get into the diaries later. Because he goes back to school, and yes, she's completely forgotten about him. He's completely devastated, and yes, Basketball Hoop Kun appears out of nowhere and crushes Sumika. But because of her plot armor, she survives, and so Kozuki has to tell Shirogane, don't jump off the building. But Kozuki additionally reveals to him, by bringing him back to Sumika's place, that this entire time, she's been fighting desperately to keep Shirogane in her memories. She realized at some point she started to forget him. And in fearing that, she started writing in her diary everything that she remembers of him, from the moment that she first met him all the way until now, and she keeps it in her mind by reading it every single day, telling herself, please keep reading if you don't get it, so you don't forget him. It was a super good scene. Really, again, heavily hitting on the fact that this girl, he is everything to her. And she doesn't want to forget him. And she knew something was happening, and she was trying to counter it. But additionally, that she's very happy that she finally got the wish that she was always dreaming of. A kiss, but not only one, but two. It was super sad too, because Sumika literally thinks it's her fault. Like, she's got some sort of amnesia or dementia that's happening in her mind. So she keeps it to herself, and she doesn't reveal anything because she thinks she's broken. Which this is sad, because this realization to Shirogane leads him to basically say, okay, I don't care. As long as she's alive, I will put an end to this by just accepting his fate. I'm good. I can do it now. I can remove myself from the picture. Which is where I was talking about earlier, where I got a little bit confused, because it really felt like Kazuki was essentially playing into that for the sake of what he's basically done in the previous world. In the other world, he was able to essentially loop and reset things, but we've never really talked about it since then. So we never really got an idea of why he was able to do that to begin with, or if he's able to do it again. If he dies now, does it loop? So that's allowing him to do that. Isn't that a good thing? But in actuality, what it seems like Kazuki is saying here is that I'm going to do whatever I can to send you back to that other world, and in you doing that will cause this world to loop. Which I don't understand the basis of that. But her mindset is that if I send you back, despite the fact that it's been 24 hours, she's going to figure out how to do it. When that happens, the world will loop, everything will be undone, and then you can come back when you've figured out why you're this conductor of the casualties. Which again, I'm really hoping that a lot of that stuff gets explained. Is the casualties happening because he's still remembering the other world and he can't let it go? Meaning that the only way to prevent it from happening is to complete things and get it into a state where he's okay to let it go. And again, what is the looping system and why is it affecting him? And what's the trigger? I hope it's not a case that stuff just wasn't adapted and we'll never probably see it adapted, but hopefully a lot of that stuff gets explained. It does seem like they're still being very vague on the whole concept now, so it makes me believe that this stuff is not skipped and it's stuff that they're going to get into later on. Here's my crazy theory. Theory time. Theory time. I cannot be bringing up the fact that I don't know what's happening with the whole looping thing and not actually bring up a theory. And as usual, no confirmations in the comments. I think Shirogane is like Sumika. In this world, Shirogane is affecting those around him by his existence. So when people think about him, they lose their memories, or if he knows that somebody dies in the other world, it causes death in this world. I think Sumika is that in the other world. Because I don't know if I changed my mind on anything, but I remember when I was doing my part 1 impressions, my theory at the time was that Sumika was this brain that Kazumi was going to. And what I believe is causing the loops in the other world is the fact that she is there and she's able to change things. Again, just like his ability to think on things is causing effects in this world, over there, Sumika is able to cause effects in that world. So whenever Shirogane died in the other world, the world that has the beta in it, Sumika inside that chamber is essentially manifesting him back into existence by resetting the world. That's my crazy theory. I don't know if it'll end up being true, but that's what I believe is causing the loops in the other world, is Sumika's there, and she's always thinking about Shirogane, and thus he's able to stay present. But we'll see. Crazy theory done. I got a kick out of it, because the moment that she was driving off, I'm like, I got I got Back to the Future vibes, so I'm like, my mindset immediately went to this idea of, okay, now cut into the next episode, and we're gonna start to have like the whole mad scientist doc stuff happening with Back to the Future, setting up a car with flux capacitors and stuff. Anyways, interested to see what happens in the next episode. Hopefully, we get some explanations. Again, that kind of the idea of Kazuki having to send him back does break into my theory on the idea that he is still able to go back right now, that Kasumi hasn't really technically given up on him yet. Or it might be one of those things where we'll have Kazuki pushes him back, but Kasumi at the same time was always still standing there, and it just requires something additional to push him back. But we'll have to see. But looking forward to next episode. That's my thoughts on episode 16 of Muv Luv Alternative. Hope you guys enjoy this video as always, and I hope that it frustrates the hell out of anybody who's read the source material like I always do. But additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we greatly appreciate you consider supporting us on Patreon, our tips link, or super thanks button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody it does. And y'all take care.